Hi everybody and welcome to a new episode of Inspired Chats. I'm Carl, this is Sarah and this is Susan. So this week we have decided that we're going to talk about animals and in particular how animals help maintain and encourage positive mental health. So personally, one of the things that I've noticed over the last 6 months as we've been going through COVID is the fact that I've not been on my own when I've been in lockdown. I've always had my little dog Paddy sat next to me, sniffing my feet and wagging his tail as they do. And I often wonder how my COVID experience might have been different had Paddy not been there. So, Susan, I know this is a topic close to your heart. Do you want to share your wisdom?
Well, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I think a lot of people watching this will also very much resonate with what you've just said there, Carl, because a dog is definitely man's best friend or woman's best friend for sure, and we have two dogs. Both were sort of rescue dogs. One is a Huskermut. He's quite a big dog. It's sort of German Shepherd size. Very lovely temperament. Doesn't speak much because he is a Husker mute. So yeah, he's lovely. And we have also a little lady who joined us just before lockdown, and I'm so glad that we decided to give her a home here, because Skydog is 10 years old now, and whilst he's reasonably active, you wouldn't believe he was 10. We felt this was a good time to maybe, consider he wasn't too old, to bring another dog in. Into the family, because no, we felt it was the right time to, and she just happened to come upon our radar, and she's crazy, but she's adorable, and that's what they do, isn't it? You just you always make allowances for them as long as they know their place. So that's the situation in our household at the moment.
It's funny when you're feeling down or you've had a tough day or you think there might be some money worries or there might be a deadline you've got to get done for work or it could be anything, and you're having a bit of a downer and you sat on the sofa and they just come and just jump on you and put the head on you, and all of a sudden it don't matter what the problem is, you're just feeling good again.
Yeah, they're
So what
so
about
in
you,
the
Scarlett?
moment, aren't they?
Well, I'm in a situation at the moment where, so I was always brought up with cats because my mum was frightened to death of dogs because she'd been bitten when she was younger. A lot of people have fears about dogs and cats for the same reasons. Maybe it's, cats can still attack, as do dogs. But then, so I was brought up with big, fluffy ginger half Persians when I was a kid. And then when Chris and I got married, because he's from a dog family, we had a dog, and we had a Weimaraner called Safi, who we had for 14 years. And we loved her. We practiced on her for the first, like our first child, if you like, because we moved in together and we thought, let's have a dog. I'm allowed one. Now my mum's not here. And she was just the bee's knees. And then we had kids and she'd herd them. She had this herding instinct. And she was just so gentle. And we lost her, I think it'd be 3 years ago now, might be 4 years ago now. And she's left a bit of a void. My son's tried to fill it with a hamster. We allowed him to have a hamster during lockdown to help him. And he's bought one in a very similar colour to Safi, who was a Weimaraner. They're quite minky coloured Weimaraners, if you know them. And he's called it Waffle Bob, okay? And it's a big fluffy thing. It's beautiful. and he's lovely, but he's not a dog. And I was just saying earlier that I was looking at the Dogs Trust, and there was a Weimaraner up in the Liverpool area, and he was 7 months old, and his name is Sam, and he needs a home. And I shoved it in front of my husband's face, and he was like, but we probably wouldn't have the same breed again because it's too upsetting. So we were looking at a different breed, but just looking at the face, I was like, oh my gosh, because you're right, they are so part of the family, aren't they? And they're so nurturing, and they're stress relieving. And I think, we're supposed to be a nation of animal lovers, aren't we? And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love them to death, and we have that void. So hopefully we can fill it soon.
Yeah.
I share your sentiments entirely about dogs. One thing I don't get is cats. I'm going to be controversial here because I know people are quite passionate, and I understand if somebody's passionate about a particular animal, but I don't get it. The only cat that I've ever known is my mum's cat, and if you went near it, it would bite you.
Yeah. Cats, you see, you own a dog, a cat owns you. Okay, so when I was a kid, that's what I remembered. All the cats are in charge.
Yeah. Cats have masters, I think is the saying, isn't it? Dogs have,
yeah.
No. Dogs have masters, cats have servants. Sorry.
That's right. And my mum always liked a ginger. I don't know why. She said they got more personality, but I know that my nan or my auntie, one of them, they had a Siamese, and it used to sit on the top. I was very small. It used to sit on the top of the door, and it would jump on you and hiss at you. And it was, it was like a guard dog, and it was really quite frightening. So some cats can be, but then some breeds of dog can be. It depends on the breed and how it's looked after. But yeah, Siamese have got a bit of a reputation. I mean, Disney's done that, haven't they, with those 2 Siamese cats? Do you remember?
Yes.
On the Aristocats. Yeah, so personally, I've had really nice experience with cats, apart from that, Siamese. Did you not have cats then, guys?
Scar from a cat when I was a kid, and it was probably my fault, playing with it in a way that was unacceptable to the cat. So it gave me what for.
They've definitely got smaller personal space, haven't they? Their buffer zones are a lot smaller. You can't go into their space. It's hilarious.
Have you ever had a cat then, Carl?
My mum had cats. My mum had 3 actually. And when I had my first marriage, we had a cat, and his name was Ozzy, and he was a blue Russian. I remember that one.
Oh yeah.
And he was completely placid and lovely, and he come to live with me for a while, but I just didn't bond with him. I just didn't bond with him, and I think he's still going now. He must be 17 or 18, because my ex-mother-in-law has him, and he's a proper old man. So I think
longer than others, can't they?
Yeah, I think it's still going. But I mean, Paddy, when we got Paddy, he was really, really scared. These videos that you get of neglected animals. He was like that. He was covered from head to toe in mange. He maybe had 25% of his fur. He was really poorly. In fact, one of our friends who had a key for our house come in the house and screamed when she saw him. She thought it was like a zombie dog. It was really, really poorly. It must have taken 2 years at least to get him back to good health, and it cost us a lot of money as well. But it's like your kids; you just love them. to the end of the earth, and you'd do anything for him. And he just pays us back with love. He's always there. He's never in a grump. He's never growled at any. I can hear him scurrying around now. He never growls, never misbehaves, and he's just a good little dog. But he's getting quite old now. When you were saying about your dog getting to 10, we think Paddy is around the age of 10. He's got to be a minimum of 8 based on the time that we've had him. So it's got to be a minimum of 8, but we think he's nearer 10. And we have spoke about getting another dog to give him some company. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
Can live quite old. I mean, they said that, you know, when you have sometimes, when it's mixed, I don't know, but sometimes when you have like pedigrees or whatever, they told us that it would be 10 years old. She was 14. Do you know what I mean? So it's all that love that you give them that makes them last longer. So age, it's like people, age is just a number.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's not a pedigree. It's crossed with something, and we don't know what. We think it's possibly a Lhasa Apso.
All right.
Because they're commonly bred together.
Did you get him from a shelter?
Yeah, we got him from a shelter, and then the shelter got shut down for not looking after animals very well.
There's you know, lately, I don't know, see there's been a lot on the telly lately. Breaks my heart. You know, all the different animal charities. It's not just pets, but endangered species and donkeys. Oh my goodness, I sob at all of those. It breaks my heart to see animals like, you know, in danger or not being looked after. And I do worry that people might have bought them over lockdown and for the wrong reasons. And now they've all gone back to work and thought, oh, can't do this. I just wonder if that's happened or not.
I imagine there's a lot of people working from home now that all of a sudden think, I can have a dog, I'm at home all the time. Give them some company. A friend of mine his dog recently had puppies, and the childbirth was too much for the mother. And these puppies, my friend had to hand feed them for weeks and weeks until they were weaned. And there's 14 of them.
Goodness.
13 survived.
What breed was it, Carl?
Lurcher.
A lurcher.
Yeah.
Is it normal for them to have that number of puppies?
I don't know. I don't know anything about them.
Quite a lot, that, isn't it?
It is. It does sound like a lot. Oh, bless her. Yeah.
Should we home them then?
I saw yesterday he's selling them. So if you're looking for a lurcher, put you in contact with him.
Are they quite big dogs then?
Yeah, lurchers are.
Yeah. But they're quite slender, aren't they?
Very. And it's interesting. It's not just what we get from the animals; it's what the animals get from us as well. The animals' mental health is an important factor as well. I mean, our dog used to be terrified for the first few weeks when we got him. He just hid under the table. He was absolutely petrified of humans, and now he's completely confident and just shrugs his shoulders at everything that happens around him. So what about your dogs, Susan? Because they're rescue dogs.
Yeah, well, Sky Dog, that was the case of friends of ours. Their daughter was quite young and in London, and thought it would be a good idea to get one of those white fluffy doggies with the pointy ears and the blue eyes, but you know, hadn't really researched it, hadn't really taken on board what a responsibility it would actually be, and they weren't spending much time in their apartment. It was a second floor apartment, so it was very quickly they knew that they couldn't look after it, and it wasn't a good idea. So the parents got in touch with us to see if we would just help out whilst they found someone. Guess what?
Could give it back.
So it wasn't, I mean, fortunately he'd not suffered any mistreatment, and he transitioned very quickly. And I think because I believe in this way of how life turns out, we weren't actively looking for a dog, and so it was just as though he came to us, and he's been absolutely perfect for our family in so many ways, has provided us with everything, you know, the emotional support, the mental support. He's always your best friend to go and let off steam on a walk with, and tell him your deepest secrets that you wouldn't tell anybody else, you know. Yeah, he has just been such a savior for myself, my husband, and my two boys, you know. He's really part of the family. Very, very big presence in the household. But the other one, clearly she had a tough time, and there's still evidence of it now, and we're how many months, 5 months down the road, and feel as though we've had her a lot longer, but she flinches a lot, you know. It's just as though round her shoulders, round her back, if she's not expecting you to go and pat her or you know, touch her for whatever reason, then she reacts. But fortunately she is so placid. She's so, you know, there isn't a nasty bone in her, because you can find that a lot when a dog has suffered, that it can be aggressive towards the human. But fortunately it's as though she knows she's safe and she's being cared for and looked after. And I think she's learning a lot from Skydog. I think he is, he puts her in a place, he's very tolerant of her, but every now and then he'll just go, enough, in doggy language.
Funny, my wife does the same to me.
What, in doggy language?
Yeah. She just says enough, and I'm like, okay, I'll give up.
Woof.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you know, we all sound quite lucky, but you know, I can think of a few that, you know, I know of where they've got like weird little habits of growling at people, and do you know what I mean? And you see those on the telly, you know, those like Caesar, that behaviourist. He's great. He's like a dog whisperer. And then there's an English guy he's a Yorkshire guy that's on the telly recently. And you know, you get pugs that poo everywhere. You get Itsus that are enjoying teddy bears, and there's all sorts, you know. Some are like, oh, they've got these really naughty habits, or they bite the other dogs, or, you know, because I guess they all have little behavior issues. And if we and that's our doing, I think that's humans doing. It's things that we, you know, habits that we have usually out of love, because we want to, you know, we think we're doing a good thing, but actually we're creating quite bad habits, or we're not having pecking orders or anything like that. I remember when we had Saf, it was, well, she gets fed last, and this and that, and all these little training things, so that she goes outside and does a business or whatever, and is good on the lead. And so there's all little habits that I think that we can all help them with, but also that can be quite negative and that we can pass on to them. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely in agreement with that. I think there's a lot of the relationships between a lot of owners and their dogs is almost considering them like humans, you know, and they absolutely are not humans, you know, and they're to feed them, for example, food which is cooked is not natural, you know, and so I do get a bit on my soapbox about just have an awareness that they are still animals as much as they are domesticated, but they aren't like the human. And that, as you mentioned, Sarah, having that pecking order is really important. And actually, it's what makes them feel safe. So, which can seem a bit weird, you know, to it's almost like the opposite of how the human thinks. But that hierarchy in the dog world and the cat world is really important to honour and to maintain, so they know their boundaries, and that way you do avoid bad behaviour and incidents, unexpected incidents.
I don't think we mean to do it. We overly love them and sometimes forget that they're dogs and not humans. Especially the ones that I've seen on the TV. They're all quite naughty because of, you know, for whatever reason, or owners aren't so confident walking them. And, you know, we've got to learn stuff as well, I think. We need to be responsible. We're looking after them. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Although, you know, I always said our dog was never allowed on our bed. Well, she was. Started off well, but, you know. So,
she's a big dog. How on earth did you get on in that bed as well?
Oh, I'd often wake up and she'd be spooning me. I was so naughty and I shouldn't have done, but because Chris started nights and we were newly married, you see, that's my fault. That's my bad habit that I then created.
Oh.
And then she thought, I'm boss of the bed. Do you know what I mean? So hands up there, that was me.
Paddy jumps on our bed, tries to stay on the bed for the night, and we're like, off.
Yeah.
That's the one rule that we don't allow him to do. He's allowed pretty much he's allowed free reign of the entire house. Not on my bed.
I agree. I got shouted at. Why have you let him up? Why have you let her upstairs? I was like, oh, because I was on my own. See, it was my bad habit, you see. And then for 14 years, it was upstairs.
Well, I think today we've shown between us that, well, for starters, the three of us love dogs.
And cats and hamsters and birds.
And cats and hamsters, and we've got an affinity with animals. And in our own little way, they've helped us the past few months get through what's been a tough time, and they've supported us. They're not human, but they're the next best thing. And on that, I think we end the show. So join us next week for another episode, guys. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.